Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk Radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk Radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. We better go talk to Dave.
Before we lose him, yeah.
Yeah, in Michigan. Hey, Dave, thank you so much for calling in. What's cooking, man?
Hey, Tom. It's nice to talk to you. Thanks.
Sure.
I have a question for you regarding talking to a politician, and I'm hoping that maybe you can give me some advice.
Okay.
I had a candidate running for a state representative office just blind call me. She must have been calling from some list of voters.
Oh, okay.
And so she called, and I immediately turned the conversation to gun control, and I wanted to know where her positions were on gun control. Mm-hmm. And almost immediately she started stating, the talking points of the Bloomberg groups. So
okay.
I asked her if she's supported by the Bloomberg groups, and I hear her rustle some papers, and she says, "Oh yeah, I'm supported by Moms Demand Action." And anyway, so she made the mistake of calling somebody who's retired and has a lot of time.
Gosh! Now Dave's just having some recreation now.
So I had some fun with it, but I wasn't mean or anything, and I wasn't confrontational. I asked her serious questions, but it was obvious that she was just talking right off of the Moms Demand Action.
Yep. She pulled out their sheet of talking points, and she has no idea what's behind them and just accepts them at face value. Yeah, okay.
Right. Like 90% of NRA members want background checks, things like that, Right. So I didn't expect much out of the conversation, but we did talk for a long time. Well, that was about a month ago. She called me again today, and I don't know if she didn't remember but she had some notes from our first conversation. Anyway, I have been thinking since the first conversation what I should have asked her.
Okay.
So one of the questions that I asked her, I said, "Are there any gun control laws that are proposed by any of the Bloomberg groups that you don't support?"
Oh,
just one.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And of course she didn't have an answer, right? Because that's not going to be in the playbook.
That's not on the sheet.
So what she said, well, are there laws that you don't support? And I said, well, of course. And I named a couple. Mm-hmm. But what she did was she kind of turned the question on me, and I didn't have a good answer. And this is the question she asked me, and I want to know how you would handle this. She says, well, how do gun control laws affect you? You're not going to go out and shoot a bunch of people, are you?
Ooh.
No, but it sure limits.
How do gun control laws affect me? She wanted to know.
Yeah, well, it limits your rights and any future person's rights.
And that might be a chance you flip it back and say, well, then by that argument, we ought to be able to ban books because we have television.
Yeah, or how do gun laws affect criminals that don't follow them anyway?
Yeah, I mean, the criminals aren't obeying gun laws anyway, but she says, how does it affect you? It's an infringement of a guaranteed constitutional right. Mm-hmm. It takes away a right that every American has. But I do. It is great fun to flip it back and use what they say and say, well, let's do that to the First Amendment. And they just was like, what? We can't infringe on the First Amendment.
Right.
Well, you're infringing on the Second Amendment. You feel like that's free. You can just do what you want there. So everything that you would like to do, background checks, waiting periods, et cetera, let's apply all of those to the First Amendment because and this is what I always tell them, I consider them to be absolutely equal in importance and relevance. And so anything that you're willing to do to the Second Amendment, to our right, then you should be willing to do to the First Amendment. And if you're not, then you shouldn't be willing to do that to the Second.
Okay. That's good. I'm sure she's going to call me back again. But,
wait, are you sure this is not Joe Biden who can't remember who he's called?
No, she thinks that there's a chance that I'll vote for her. But what I really want to do is I want to influence her.
There's a chance.
I want to influence her. Yeah, I'm chancing
hell.
Snowball's chance, but okay, so you want to influence her.
I had hoped that asking her a question about any laws any proposed laws that you don't support would make her think.
Well, why?
And maybe it will.
Why would she be running for political office when she doesn't believe in the Bill of Rights?
That's a good question.
Well, she's a Democrat, and she's just towing the Democrat line right now.
Sure.
Right,
Sure.
but still, I mean, any politician should be supporting the Bill of Rights because that is the oath that they take. They will abide by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and all they want to do is alter it.
I would offer
That's absolutely right. But these days it seems like they go by the playbook no matter what they actually think.
Oh, sure.
Well, and I would ask her, say, look, okay, you do understand that this is a gun confiscation group. They're calling for the confiscation of the most popular guns owned in America. So are you in favor of confiscating guns? Because if you're supporting any of the Bloomberg groups, that's what you're calling for. So are you a gun banner? Are you a gun confiscator? I mean, I would get right in there. There's a time.
Okay.
You're not going to win her over, but you may shock her into thinking, wait a minute, who are these guys who are pushing me there? And you can just say, look, these people are not gun safety people. They've never taught a gun safety class in their lives. Right. All they want to do is restrict guns, and they do openly call for the confiscation of the most popular firearms in America. I'm talking about, and they may call them buybacks, but it's still confiscation. And I would just say, what guns are you in favor of confiscating from private citizens? That's a good question.
Okay, got it. I got it written down, and I'm going to listen to this podcast again just to refresh my memory. We have.
You're confused. We're not actually recording this.
Great.
Oh, darn. Well, I guess I have to rely on my notes then.
Jim, you were supposed to hit that button over there.
Oh, technicality.
Dropping the ball.
So,
in Michigan, we have a registration database for handguns. It's kind of an outlier in the country.
Right.
So if we want to buy a handgun, we have to go get a permit or have a concealed carry license. So there's a proposed law by one of the Republican senators my Democrat senator, state senator, to change the Michigan law and include rifles. So if they did that, then the state would become a totally universal background check state.
So would you then be allowed to buy because in handguns, they have to go from state to state, dealer to dealer. Would that become the same case for your rifles, or could you purchase that anywhere in the opposing 49 states?
I don't. It would be the same. It would be the same process that we use today for handguns, which means if we have a handgun purchased from out of state, it has to go to an FFL in this state. So it would be the same thing for rifles. It basically changes the wording of our law and scratches out handgun and puts in firearm.
All guns.
Okay. So here's you could write this down. If you get a chance to talk to anybody about registration, there is a Supreme Court case, Haynes, Haynes, Haynes v. United States, 1968. And in that case, the Supreme Court ruled that you cannot compel a criminal to register his gun.
I know this one. I've heard you talk about it before.
Because that's self-incrimination. So therefore, by Supreme Court decision, only the law-abiding can be required to register their guns so that the criminals are exempt from gun registration laws.
Yes, perfect.
And they will have no idea what you're talking about. You say Haynes v. U.S. 1968. Look it up. If you're running for office, this would require only the law-abiding, and the criminals, people who cannot own a gun, are exempt from registering their guns.
Tom, you'll know they'll never go look that up.
No, but you could at least, it's like hitting them in the face with a wet fish. It's like whack. And they go, what? What are you talking about? That's crazy. Yes, I know it's crazy, but it's the law. That's why instead of including long guns, we should eliminate all gun registration because the only people who have to register their guns are the law-abiding. So why do you want a record of only the law-abiding? What's the plan? What are you going to do with that list? What's the plan?
Good. Good, Tom. I knew you'd have the right answer. I told Michelle when I called, Tom's going to have the answer for me.
It's like he's done this before.
So it seems like just yesterday, Tom, we had this conversation of different questions to be able to ask for voting seasons, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a website that you had given out information to, or was it through your website?
That may, I'm trying to remember, that may be the gunfacts.info is a great resource for that stuff.
Okay.
When you want to say, okay, well, yeah, this is what's actually going on, and it's also sourced. But gunfacts.info is a good place. But yeah, the Haynes v. U.S. is always the one that trips them up. They go, what? Say, oh yeah, the Supreme Court says that you cannot compel criminals to register their guns because if a person is prohibited from having a gun, registering a gun would be self-incrimination. They go, what? Yeah, exactly. So why do we register guns? Oh, so that you can have a list so you can go door to door. And they say, well, that's just crazy. That would never happen in the U.S. Mm-hmm. Actually, it already has. In California and, in D.C.
Was it Maine, too, didn't he?
And I can't remember.
Maryland or
Maine?
Maryland or Maine?
No, it wouldn't be Maine. But
Maryland, maybe.
I remember way back, D.C. Registered guns, but they promised people, we're never going to actually, once you turn them in or anything.
We're never really going to keep this information, right?
Yeah. And then later on, City Councilman John Wilson called for guns to be confiscated and banned in D.C. And he was asked, but when this law was passed, the registration law, the public was told that the list would never be used to confiscate guns. And Wilson's comment was, I never promised anybody anything.
He didn't.
He didn't, just the people before him.
Yeah.
Yeah. You cannot place a restriction on future politicians and what they will do. So don't give them a tool. I mean, it really does pay to think about how could they misuse this? I mean, not what good could be done with it, but what evil could be done with it. And don't give them a tool that allows them to do that. So just food for thought.
Hey, Dave?
Yes.
In parting, enjoy your Governor Whitmer, will you?
Well, thanks a lot.
Thought I'd throw that in there.
That's the sound you hear now is Dave opening up an adult beverage.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, thank you so much.